Yep, let's get out the crayons. It's time to do horoscopes for men, also known as some technical analysis. No, the most important variable you can look at, indicator you can look at is price, right? And your big markets, your macro asset classes are some of your most reliable indicators for where things are and broader monetary and financial conditions in my framework. So this is the Bitcoin chart. It goes back to 2023 at the left-hand side. So you can see this uptrend. This has been a bull market in the 2 to 3 year time horizon that you're looking at Bitcoin since it bottomed in November 2022 with that FTX collapse. But that was really in the neighborhood of when kind of a lot of asset classes bottomed. But in terms of Bitcoin, our fundamental thesis, you're not going to find too many bond managers who are also secular bulls on Bitcoin, which makes us a little bit unique amongst our peer group, I would say, right, Cameron?
100%. The number of people I've heard that just laugh it away or say, I don't see how it generates yield, right? I mean, clearly have not done enough work on what Bitcoin is.
Yep, do your homework. I got some good book recommendations for these people if you've got a few of them here. But Nick Boccia's Bitcoin Age, Nick Boccia's Layered Money, and Parker Lewis's Gradually Then Suddenly. And we've got a lot of Bitcoin followers in our audience. But if you're new to us and also new to Bitcoin, those are some of our best friends, but also most well-informed capital markets professionals when it comes to understanding the dollar, fixed income, and Bitcoin. They can do it all. Which, if you think about it, like if you're the true sign of a sound intellect and like a sound trader, financial manager, portfolio manager, etc., is being able to explain the bull case, the bear case, the pros and cons, the underlying thesis for not just your point of view, but all asset classes. If you can do that, you're dealing with someone whose opinion is worth listening to, and those two friends of ours can definitely do so. So highly recommend those books if you're looking to get your starting point on get your bearings on what's going on in Bitcoin. If you ever do make that decision that it's time to take this thing seriously, at some point, you'll eventually get there, hopefully. But yeah, so what we've seen in Bitcoin in this week in particular is a breakout of the down channel it's been in for most of 2025, right? So if you recall, Bitcoin went on a strong run on the election, the U.S. election results in November, particularly Trump carrying the White House, but also that alone probably would have been bullish for Bitcoin, but it was the fact that you got a Republican clean sweep, and we've seen all the policy implementation, basically just the road just paved or opened up in front of Bitcoin for further adoption inside of the U.S. financial system and economy, and that's what we're seeing with kind of legislative agenda results like SAB 121 repeal. Now you've got the Genius Act for stablecoin legislation, strategic Bitcoin reserve, all of the above. So Bitcoin went on a run starting really Q4. Like you just look at the September line, you can see it. It just had a massive run up in Q4, but all of Q1 was essentially just a retracement into softness as, Trump inaugurated January 20th and, why'd the bull market come to an end, right? But this is what you see during overall bull waves. It's not uncommon to see, a quarter of pullback and consolidation on the way to resumption of an overall bullish trend, which Bitcoin has been in going back to that bottoming in November 22, which is also riding a much broader, primary wave of bullish Bitcoin price action since it arrived on the scene in January of 2009. So my point here, what we want to discuss this week's development was you did see a Bitcoin breakout out of that that red. You would call this a bear pennant, actually, like attached to the that bullish behavior in Q4 of 2024. So that breakout would be signaling like a continuation of that overall bull wave that Bitcoin kind of was in before that consolidation it went through in Q1. So overall, it looks like strength here. Now that doesn't mean it's just going to go and rip to the massive price targets like next week. But it is a signal of strength. Caveat that with during that last bit of sell-off where it hits a lower low in that first week of April during the Liberation Day kind of window, it pulled back below. I think it almost got to like a $70,000 price level. I don't know where the bottoming was, 73, 74,000, something like that. So the prior support line for Bitcoin, that green dashed line, you can see it during this overall cycle. It actually broke below that, it was tested like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, it looks like, before it broke through. So the fact that it fell through that upward sloping support line, that's kind of signaling to me that at some point we're going to go back and revisit that chapter boss, and we're going to spend some time below that trend line, or Bitcoin will spend some time below that trend line. I would expect it to, since we did breach it once, right? Now, we immediately ripped back above that trend line. But what I would say is at some point in the future, whether it's Q3, Q4, or 2026, 2027, I would base case say it's probable we spend some time with price back below that trend line. So that's we call it the good news, bad news. That's the bad news. The good news is that breakout looks for real. And Bitcoin looks to have entered a new bullish trend as kind of first responder of, I guess you can call it risk assets, but yeah, equities, your NASDAQ, your Qs, your Max 7. There's also some breakouts going on there as well this week. Like Google just reported strong earnings, was up 6% after market hours. So kind of a sign that the bull wave is kind of expected. If you're weighing the tug of war between the bulls and the bears right here, I'd say this is a nice sign for the bulls this week, specifically on Bitcoin. So yeah, I think we'll leave it there. But any questions, Cameron?
No, I was just going to add the comment of, I also think there was a lot of rhetoric around that same time about, if China, if the U.S., if we're all tariffing each other, if there's a lot of tension in terms of international trade, are there ways to maybe, find a neutral reserve asset, gold being one of those, which we'll get to in a second. So, I also do think that there were some sentiments that I think kind of were pushing towards Bitcoin adoption in that front too. So there's a little bit of both the broader macro environment that's affecting this. Also, potentially some people have maybe done some more research and are realizing Bitcoin might contain some features that they want to have if we're truly in this trustless environment across nations.
So keep in mind too, right axis, the y-axis is log scale. So I've driven, see those two thick green lines, the solid green lines. That's the upward channel that Bitcoin is, like the price action that's defining its range. So upward sloping, it's in a strong positive trend. You've got the breakout from that wedge, right? So you got a continuation. The bulls are looking for the ceiling, the upper range of that channel. It's drawn linearly, but it's log scale. So the upper end of that channel are very high numbers, and then the lower channel, even if I tell you, hey, I expect at some point we're gonna cross back over that green dotted line and have to spend some time in that range. It's that green shaded range that gets to higher numbers over time,
Yeah, that's
right?
a really important
So,
call out. Like,
yeah.
this is the lower bound over here on this dark green line. So, yeah,
So it doesn't mean you can just ape into Bitcoin and expect to be a millionaire next week, like something like that if you're just starting out. But it looks like a very like positive price signals for Bitcoin, and then layer that on with some just news like Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, Stablecoin Act, SAB 121 repeal, banks, broker dealers, etc., getting involved in this industry, not just in and that's just in the U.S. Like you had Russia announce this week its own kind of sovereign policy where it's going to start its own Bitcoin and crypto exchange. Like no international customers are going to use this, right? Like no U.S. customer, no European customer is going to go buy their Bitcoin from Russia, right? That's specifically for its own citizens. But the signal is there that the sovereign adoption is coming in like massively with this wave. It's just like the setup is there. It's just, do you see it?
it's almost like you pointed out the gold reserves leaving London, moving to New York, moving to Europe, right? It's which nation states are trying to find ways to bring Bitcoin holders within their borders.